Lewis is late.
Water's,
Sky is blue.
water's wet and Chelsea are shit. There we go.
Where do we start, guys? Where do we start?
Don't know, mate. But if someone told me that I had to pay 30 quid for a nap in North London, I wouldn't have bothered. I would have just stayed at home for an hour and a half instead. Yeah, it was dull, wasn't it, to put it lightly. But I don't think any of us expected anything different. That game went exactly as I thought it was going to go.
Really? Expected it to be that boring?
Yeah, absolutely. We're playing dreadful football, really boring, and Arsenal got their whole attack out and they're not scoring any goals either, and they're winless in their last 4 matches, all comps coming into this game. So it went exactly as I thought it was going to go, as boring as I expected, and yeah, nothing surprised me in that game at all. Exactly what I expected to happen.
It's a London derby and it's Chelsea versus Arsenal. In these ones, form doesn't really count. You always expect your players to turn up for it and at least have a good go.
I don't. When was the last time we won a big game? We don't win big games. I didn't expect anything.
Yeah, I suppose, but there's a reason between turning up and losing and turning up and not. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, turning up and winning. No, turning up and losing, and then not turning up and losing. Got there in the end. Do you get that?
Yeah, no, I get that.
Like, you want to be fired up.
Oh, fair enough. Like, you're thinking of like Liverpool. Like, we lost at Anfield, didn't we? But we played well.
But it was a good game.
That was our best performance in a big game. But like our form in big games is a massive concern. Our form away from home is a big concern. We haven't won in our last 7 games on the road. I was looking this morning. We scored 3 goals in our last 7 away games. The least in the Premier League. Leicester have scored more goals in their last 7 away games than us. It's 3 goals on the road in our last 7 games, mate. Look, I know. Yesterday we were missing Cole. We were missing our 3 top scorers. And look, don't get me wrong. Jackson, Palmer, and Madueke make a difference to this team. I'm not saying they make us win, but when you take 30 goals out of a team, you obviously are going to be worse. But even with the players on the pitch, like, there probably is enough quality there to expect more than that performance. But having said that, going long ball to Pedro Neto, expecting Pedro Neto to hold the ball up against Saliba and Gabriel like he's prime Drogba is nonsense. Sancho and Nkunku anonymous on the wings. You might as well have had 9 men on the pitch. They offered absolutely nothing. Sancho didn't have a single touch in the Arsenal box. We had 2 shots on target, both from Cucurella. The fact that a left back is a bigger attacking threat than both Sancho and Nkunku is a big problem. And honestly, I couldn't care less now. I'd never want to see Nkunku in a Chelsea shirt again, and I'd be okay with paying whatever it takes. I'd even contribute some money myself to send Sancho back and pay the cancellation fee. The guy's been crap.
For 5 million.
Is it 5 million? Definitely.
That's what I heard. I don't know if it's official, but
even
I saw that number.
Even if it's 10, send him back.
I mean, you've got to look at it from the perspective of we haven't agreed a wage.
I think that's all. Sancho. I think it is all agreed.
Apparently, it's not done. So we'd still have to negotiate that. He would want. I know he's willing to take a pay cut, but I don't think he would take a massive pay cut, which would still put him in a bracket of one of our higher earners. And he's not contributing, is he? No, I have to agree with you, man. And if you could offload him for 10 million and then reinvest into another player that you think, okay, maybe we can get a little bit more out of this one.
Problem is, who do you like? Do we trust us to reinvest in someone that would actually contribute more? You think, it wouldn't be hard to find someone to contribute more than Sancho's currently contributing, but I don't know if I've got faith in these directors and this recruitment to actually find someone that might be prepared to contribute more than Sancho is. But I mean, what Sancho, no touches in the Arsenal box, as I said, he's 1 assist in 2025 against Palace in January. He hasn't scored since Tottenham away in December. I don't want to just single him out because other players aren't delivering either, but he's been absolutely awful. And the pressure's massively on him. This next 9 games, if he continues and fails to turn up, then it really wouldn't be a surprise if we sent him back. And people are critical of Madueke, right? I tell you what, people need to apologise to Madueke because watching Sancho and Nkunku makes you realise how much Madueke actually offers to the team.
What do you think that Madueke offers that we don't get from Sancho? I wouldn't necessarily compare Nkunku because I know he's not a winger anyway, but Sancho's a good example.
Goal scoring threat, takes players on, defensive work rate as well. Like, he does all things that Sancho doesn't do.
But even he dropped off in numbers as well recently before he was out.
Sure, but Madueke offers way more than Sancho does.
Yeah, okay, he takes on his man. He maybe makes more shots at goal. I'll agree about that. But I also think, like, Sancho, partly why there's such a drop-off, if you want to look at the assists, is I still believe that the fact that we don't have that many runners or people bombing into the box is part of what is limiting Sancho's game.
But he's not even doing the basics.
But
He's not even taking his man on, doesn't even have a shot.
He does occasionally. I agree, though. Sometimes he turns away, but Arsenal were doubling up on him big time.
He didn't have a single touch in the box. That's inexcusable.
No, I know, but we couldn't even get to Arsenal's box.
Sure, but like if you're a wide player and you've got the ball, take your. I don't care if you lose the ball.
Sure.
Go and take your man on. Try and get into the box. Try and make something happen. If you get the ball in a dangerous area and you try and take your man on and you lose it, I haven't got a problem with that.
Problem is, though, once you get past the man, then there's another man, and then you've got to cross it, and then there's no one in the box. So,
I get
as much as I agree with you,
yeah.
I also think that you're so isolated on the wing. With Madueke, for example, you know that he's more likely to have a crack, whereas Sancho, he doesn't even take the shot on. We were speaking with, it's really random, but we saw Tion Wayne. Is it Tion Wayne?
Oh, Tion Wayne, the rapper.
The rapper,
Yeah.
and his manager.
Yesterday?
Yeah, his manager come up and spoke to us
When was this?
yesterday.
Well, after the game?
Yeah. Tion Wayne's a big Chelsea
Oh, that
fan.
must have been after I'd gone. Was it Tion Wayne's? And was Tion Wayne there as well?
No, Tion Wayne went to the car, but his manager come out and said hello and did a fan cam. And he said that, he said the same thing. He was like, Sancho just needs to shoot. He just needs to have a crack. He's a little bit more positive than me. I said, I respect the positivity, but I don't see it. Whatever it is that you see, I don't see it. And I wasn't speaking about Sancho specifically. I was talking about the team. But I mean, Sancho is certainly a part of that. And I think that another reason why you'd be more critical of Sancho, just going back to it, is the fact that when we look at the system, and a lot of the players don't necessarily suit the system or aren't able to play within the system, I actually think Sancho is really well suited to it. I think that he is a player who likes to have the ball. He didn't have that luxury at United as much, where they were comfortable in possession, and that leaves him to make things happen. You've got the ball, you're in control. Now do something with it. And if he's not doing anything, then I completely agree with what you're saying.
He holds on to it. He holds on to it a little too long sometimes, though. Like, I know Sancho is one of our most technically gifted players, and that means then sometimes he spends too much time on the ball, to a point where if we hit a team on a break, well, we lose the whole advantage of hitting a team on a break, because he waits for everyone to come back. So it's like, well, it kind of is pointless in that regard. And I suppose where Noni Madueke probably doesn't do that, he'll bomb straight forward, take on his man, and use the advantage of having less people back and more people, like, say if it's like a 3v2 or something like that. But unfortunately, too many of our players are behind the ball. That's a problem. We're so static, and even yesterday, we're 1-0 down and everyone's behind the ball. So you get an instance where Neto's maybe running up forward, so is Enzo, but then again, it's like 2v4, and they can't really compete with Saliba and Gabriel in the air. Definitely, you're talking about the shortest players on the team as well. So ultimately, it's a big disadvantage, and we really can't get anything out of our attack.
Is anyone surprised we didn't score yesterday? Because as soon as you seen that attack, no Palmer, and you see that attack, we were never scoring. The only way we were going to score yesterday was either a huge slice of luck or a set piece. We were never, ever going to create any goal-scoring opportunities. The best chance we had was that Cucurella shot, which was straight at Raya, but because he almost...
There was like 2 shots before that got deflected, so it's not like we even opened them up.
No.
It was just that it was luck.
Exactly, but no, and obviously Raya almost spilled it. That was the best chance we had in the whole game. And I didn't expect us to create anything, because when you've got Sancho and Kunku and Neto as a front three, you're just not going to create anything. We've discussed Sancho and Kunku is offering nothing. Neto obviously puts work rate in, tries hard, but you cannot expect Neto to do a centre forwards job against Gabriel and Saliba. It's all right doing it against Southampton and Leicester, who are poor, but when you come up against a decent centre backs, it's going to be a problem. Same with the Reece James thing in midfield. Maresca basically got him to do a man marking job on Declan Rice. It was never going to work, and he struggled.
Who? Sorry,
Reece James.
Oh, Reece James.
This is what I mean when we're talking about Reece James playing in midfield. It's okay against lesser teams, but when you put him up against proper top-class midfield players, the guy's going to be found out because he's not a midfielder. And I thought yesterday Maresca asking him to basically man-mark Declan Rice, was pretty much following him around the pitch. That job was way too big for him. It was way too big for him.
It was more of a physicality thing, though, I think. That's probably the thinking behind it. Because if you think about it, I thought maybe Lavia coming on a lot earlier, that Lavia would have been so necessary in yesterday's midfield, particularly for that battle in particular. And I think that that was purely a physicality thing, and nothing else, because we know Reece James doesn't have it in terms of pace anymore, really. So that's the only thing I can think of. But I agree with you, it didn't work as well, and especially with like ball carrying ability. I thought he got better in like sort of as he grew into the game. But again, Lavia does that a lot better, and I think, you know, had he been fit, maybe we start him a little bit earlier, and it's a little bit different. But I think that was purely just physical.
I mean, there's like people say, oh, you know what, like Maresca, like, you know, having a go at the manager after yesterday. And I sort of think like, you know, what could he have done? What could he have actually done better with that personnel, right? So we know that Lavia's not fit to start. We know that. You know, there's no point saying I'll start Lavia, because we know that we weren't going to start him because of how we manage players coming back from injury. The only one that there's probably two, right? Tyreek George should have been starting. You know, I've been saying this for weeks now. I'm not necessarily saying he's a better footballer than Nkunku and Sancho, but he's offered way more than they have over the last few games, and he should have started. It was a cowardly decision, really. Didn't have the balls to do it, and it wasn't even a difficult decision. Just didn't have the balls to do it. So there's that one.
It's a big call to make.
It's not. It's what, with Sancho and Nkunku in their current form. That's not a big call.
At least Sancho can actually like call standards low, but retain the ball much better.
It's not. In my opinion, it's not a big. That's not a big call to make. So that for me, that's poor from Maresca on that one. And then the second one, you can say, play Reece James at right back. But other than that, right, people say, I mean, we discussed this after the game yesterday, Alex, you know, say, oh, change the system. You've still got the same personnel. Changing the system was not going to suddenly make us create more chances with the same limited personnel on the pitch. It wasn't going to suddenly make us score any goals. So I look at the manager yesterday.
If we would have, look, Joe, if we would have basically given up a lot of the principles that Maresca prioritises, which is possession, right? If we would have given up that and played a different way and still had the same amount of chances, then I think fans could understand it. If we went there and we were defensively, we were sitting back, people probably could have appreciated it in a way, because it's Arsenal, because it's away, because we know that we're in bad form, we're not really creating chances anyway. Defensively, we've got to cover Sanchez. Like, I would have had more sympathy for that. But when you have the ball and you go sideways and backwards and sideways and backwards again, and then you progress again, you think, fucking hell, we're going to have a counter-attack here, and then backwards again. It's like,
no,
the guy, it's a terrible system. Man.
No, I hear you on that, and that's where one thing that I do have an issue with is that we didn't try anything different. With the clock running down, we just done the same thing. I'm just thinking, where's the urgency? Where's the intensity to try and rescue an equaliser? You know, forget this part you're passing about. You've got 10, 15 minutes left. Abandon your principles of play. I'd rather lose 2-0 going for it than 1-0, because you're still, at the end of the day, you're still losing. So at least you've lost and you've had a go. We didn't have a go at all, you know, and it was summed up with 5 minutes to go, where he did a like-for-like swap at centre-back. It's like, mate, what are you doing? There's 5 minutes left, and he'll go, oh, you know, he's managing Badia Shield's minutes, but he couldn't last another 5 minutes on the pitch. And then
he took Gusto, put Gusto on.
He put Gusto on, right? And do you know what? When Gusto went on, that was like he actually ran forward with the ball, and we actually got across in the box. Forget the fact there was no one there, but at least Gusto actually gets forward and attacks. Like, Fofana, I felt, had a good game, but you're not going to get the same attacking threat from Fofana at right back as you are from Gusto. But yeah, look, it's the lack of switching things up. Now, I know there weren't the most options on the bench, but stick tossing up front. Just go long and see what happens, because we're losing anyway. So at least try and do something different, because, you know, still knocking it about not doing anything like we've done for the previous 80 minutes, nothing was going to change. So that's why I get frustrated with him, is that when you're chasing a game and you're losing, why are you not doing something different?
You said it yourself. He's a coward. Maresca's a coward. I'm sorry. You said it's a cowardly decision not to play Tyreek George. I could agree there's a bit of basis for that. Although, to be honest, I appreciate why he's playing Sancho and Nkunku from the experience standpoint. But again, we're looking at form as well. But he is a coward, mate. He's a coward. And, you know, people say, well, at least he didn't lose 5-0 last season like Poch did. And wow. I've had this argument with Lewis. And I'm actually gutted Lewis isn't here. I thought he was going to come. But, I mean, fucking hell, man. Like, if we look at our record against big teams last season, we basically went big or we went home. And we played with some cojones.
What happened, though? Lost at Old Trafford?
Well, hang on a sec. Drew 4-4 against Man City. Beat United 4-3. Came back from...
No, I'm talking away from home.
All big games, just big games
Big
in
games,
general.
right? So we beat Man City.
City, we drew away.
Draw
That was
City,
a fantastic performance. Liverpool got smashed. Arsenal got smashed. Tottenham, we thrashed. Who else is there? If I missed,
That's it.
That's
it.
basically it.
Mate, I'm sorry. You look at the result, and by the way, the results were probably better in the big games in some respects last season, because we were winning more and we were actually challenging teams more. Whereas this season we've been much more conservative, which isn't a problem if you are finding a way to squeeze something out of it. But if it's always just going to be a stalemate every single time, and you're basically relying on luck, let's be honest, you're relying on luck. Now, Poch, I'm not going to say there wasn't luck. Of course there was luck last season. But what he did is he said, you know what, Palmer, you're the man, take him on, do what you need to do. Jackson, have a crack. And it either worked or it didn't. And then you say, well, he's reliant on these players. Maresca doesn't let the players do anything. If the players wanted to make something happen, he'd substitute them. And he said that publicly. If you pass backwards, then I'll keep you on. If you pass forwards, I'm going to substitute you. If you go long as a goalkeeper, you're going on. Like, what kind of logic is that? I'm sorry. The guy is just a total fucking clown. He's a clown. Timber said... I can't even get the words out. Timber said in the 93rd minute, try harder. He fucking shook his hand and then said congratulations, and Maresca's smiling. The guy is a total clown. And I know they're not going to sack him, but I will fucking complain because this guy is not Chelsea level. He's not Chelsea quality. He hasn't got a Chelsea mentality. He's got no hair. He's got no balls.
No managers.
He's got no charisma.
No managers.
He's got a shit style of football. He is regressing this team. This team is getting worse under him. Cole Palmer is getting worse under this manager. Gusto, one of our best players last season, is getting worse. We talk about injuries. He's having injuries. Everyone wants to make the injury excuse. We didn't have injuries last season. Of course we did. He's made one of the best players in European football, arguably in his position in Kunku when we signed him, into a championship level player at Chelsea.
But Kunku was shit under Poch as well.
Yeah, no, he wasn't, mate.
When
he was fit, he was scoring. When he was fit, he was scoring.
Yeah, but
he come off the bench against Liverpool. He scored against Wolves off the bench.
This revisionism is pointless.
No, it's not.
It is pointless.
Maresca
it's a complete waste of time.
Fucking crap.
But
he's crap.
If Leicester fans are watching this right
He's
now, they're
crap.
telling us we told you so.
I think they had a 21 lead in the championship, and they only won the league by about 5 points.
But you talk about Chelsea-level managers,
we talk about Poch being a serial bottle job.
Poch, not Chelsea-level manager. Potter wasn't a Chelsea-level manager. We're not appointing.
They all weren't good enough for what we had. But you know what? Maresca is a level down from all of them.
But by the way,
he's a level down from all of them, and he has the best squad to work with out of all of them.
What I'm saying is, right, I think it's a lazy argument in my opinion. No, it's a lazy argument.
He's never managed a fucking Premier League team.
To blame everything on the manager.
I'm not blaming everything on the manager, but I'm saying the manager's a clown.
It's lazy analysis. Can he do better? Absolutely, he can do better. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at the people that appointed him are more to blame.
They're also clowns.
And the way the squad's been put together. So the manager should be getting more out of what we've got available. Having said that, somehow we are still sitting fourth in the Premier League, and it's mid-March.
And that is a damning indictment on how bad this league has been.
Sure. But regardless of how bad the league is, we all want Champions League football, and right now we're on track for Champions League football. Okay, we are. Doesn't matter how you get there or what other teams are doing. Somehow we are still on track to qualify for Champions League football. Can he do better? Absolutely. Is he blameless? No, he's not. Is he a great coach?
He's shy.
Not right now. He's not. No. Could he be a great coach? Sure, he could be. Is he the right guy for Chelsea long term? We don't know. But I think to blame
we do know.
To blame everything on him is just lazy in my view.
But I'm not blaming everything on him. I'm not. Yeah, the owners are crap. The directors are crap.
But
the manager's
crap.
But
you do realise if the manager goes right like you want,
no,
it'll just be another another useless manager coming in.
He will not go. I am fully aware of that. And he, honestly, in some respects, shouldn't go.
He shouldn't,
because you need stability in the team. But that does not take away from the fact he is not Chelsea level. He's not good enough. His system is one-dimensional. He is not improving our players individually. He doesn't know how to speak to the press. He's not honest with the fan base. He's a yes man. And he doesn't know how to pick a goalkeeper. fucking hell, I could name more things. And he shakes players' hands on the pitch when they're beating him and they're laughing at him.
Well, that's not good enough.
I mean, how can anyone defend him? I mean, it's terrible.
So what's the solution then?
There isn't one. There isn't one. Because our owners have put us in this position and our directors are incompetent. We have an incompetent manager and we have to live with that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy watching him. And that certainly doesn't mean I'm going to compliment him.
Was he incompetent when we were second and winning loads of games?
Honestly, mate, the more I think about it, I think he's just riding the wave from last season. I really believe that. You know, I think he was riding the wave. And he had a fucking good squad, man. And he had a couple of injuries. Is that like a couple of injuries is just going to kill our season every year?
When you take 30 goals out of the team, I don't care what team you are, take 30 goals out of any team, you're going to struggle.
What do you mean? Sorry.
No Palmer, no Jackson, no Madueke. Our 3 top scorers in the team. If you take 30 goals out of any team is going to struggle and any team is going to be worse.
But good managers adapt. They find someone else. Not to get 30 goals, but who can get me 20? Who can get me 15?
Sure, but with what we've got right now, who is scoring the goals?
We could do it, man.
With who?
With Nkunku.
Easily. What with Nkunku as a 9 that we've seen loads of times this season and was absolutely
I'm not saying
trash.
where you play him, but you know the guy's a goal scorer. He is. He's
Well,
probably the best goal scorer in this whole team.
He could have fooled me. Nkunku is not going to get us goals to fire us.
Not
to
under
win
this
games.
manager, because he's incompetent. Doesn't know how to play.
Nkunku as a 9, useless. Play him as a 10, useless. Play him left, useless.
Let's be real, mate. Nkunku doesn't put the effort as much
No,
in anyway.
And
it's
why?
not down to the manager.
Why?
Because
the manager throws him
He
out.
doesn't want to be here.
Because the manager can't play him properly.
Alex, the club made it crystal clear to him that he's not part of the plans. Why should
Because Maresca didn't want him. Because. Just like João Felix, just like Vega, Maresca
But let's
said
not do
yes
revision
to
on
this stuff.
Felix. Felix is dog shit. Milan don't want him either. He's crap.
Guys, you're going away from the point here massively. There's no point about talking about João Felix at all. Like, yeah,
No,
I
but the
agree
point
in some
is-
aspects. I get what the point is, but in some aspects, maybe yes. Is there a coincidence that, you know, we actually managed to play well against Southampton and Leicester, and then that performance didn't quite cut it for Arsenal? Well, there you go. We knew that would happen, right? Because again, those performances aren't good enough to face better opposition, and that was demonstrated yesterday. And in many ways, you talk about playing in Maresca's way, but we couldn't actually play Maresca's way until about 25-30 minutes in, until we finally got the ball and could string more than 3 passes. So where is that possession-based football? Because Arsenal just let us try and string a few passes, get into our rhythm a little bit, and then they just defended very well. Yeah, okay, they've been impotent in attack, weren't clinical, they had a lot more shots, and again, that scoreline could have been greater.
They had nothing to defend.
They had nothing to defend. Exactly. They had nothing to defend. We couldn't even get past literally the final third in that game. But also when we did actually try and do something, again they were very happy to just sit back at us and hit us on the break because they know they can do that. Teams have found out, Chelsea, we're so easy to play on the break and we get turned over very easily. And then we know that we have a defence that can just crack under any pressure. And we've got a goalkeeper in Robert Sanchez who will just happily spill out a ball he catches, maybe if he does. And yeah, that's it. So it's very, very easy actually to play against us.
We didn't defend that badly yesterday, in fairness.
Again, where Arsenal got shots off, they weren't even on target. They blazed high, wide, above the bar, whatever. So again, it wasn't even that difficult to defend in that regards. But again, it's like the principle of if another team's more clinical, which they will be, you know, come let's play Liverpool, we're going to play Newcastle, Nottingham Forest. Well, that might not cut it, right? So even our defending as of such, you know, we're again relying on luck of teams not being clinical up front to not score more goals, and then we're just sitting back and defending a 1-0 defeat because it's better than conceding another 2-3. So that's Maresca ball. It's don't concede another, because that's literally what we went out to play. So yeah, I agree that the in-game management is poor, 100%. And someone said to me, oh, he's out of clue at half time. No, he seems to be out of clue when he puts his starting 11 out, because that's where he thinks and hopes the game will be won. Subs are 70 minutes plus. Who is there to bring on, guys? We don't have game changers on that bench. We have youngsters who, yes, are keen to play, but then again, that just points that recruitment was poor. So yeah, while Maresca is to blame about what's happening on the pitch, again, it's like, what more could he do? But this is where I will say Maresca is at fault. The style, it's not there. What is the style? What are we trying to do on the ball? What are we trying to do off the ball? At least you know that Arsenal off the ball, yes, they were pressing high. What were we doing? We were just trying to keep keep up with the momentum, see what was going on, but we literally couldn't grow
What
into that
pressing
game
you
until 30
expecting from
minutes.
Sancho and Nkunku?
Well, I saw him press for 5 minutes. I was like, wow. So there you go. That's where you can put it down individually. But you're not telling me that. Well, Jackson was pressing when he was playing. So where's that from Nkunku?
You're not
So
going to get that.
It
He
does
doesn't do
come
it.
from a personal thing. Yeah, no, I know. But Alex is talking about it from a pure managerial perspective. But Maresca manages Jackson too. So why does he press and Nkunku doesn't?
Because Nkunku's lazy and don't want to be here. That's
Well, there you
as
go.
simple
So
as
it's
it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing to do with the manager.
I agree with that, but I think it stems from poor man management. I mean, it's obvious. And Nkunku clearly got frozen out of the squad. If he wasn't frozen out, he would have still had belief that he could have been in the team. But Maresca didn't even give him half a chance.
Where's his belief and his drive to want to prove the manager wrong in that case? Where's his belief and drive to?
The club
It's
have put
done.
him.
That's
the
gone.
club have put him out.
But to get a move right, where because teams are going to watch him play now and think, well, actually think twice about even wanting to buy this guy. Like if you're trying to advertise yourself to potential buyers, if you know that you're probably going to be moving on at the end of the season, and you keep turning in performances like that, you're going to put clubs off buying you.
I think if João Felix and Sancho and players like that can get moves, I think Nkunku will be fine.
Oh, yeah, because that move's turned out great.
Well, but he'll get a move. He'll get a move.
He'll get a move for nowhere near the money we want.
I think that we'll probably end up getting
50 if you're lucky.
I think 50 is actually
That's
pretty
a
good.
lot.
Yeah, I was going to say realistically, what's his wage? 100 and,
I don't know
180,
what it is. No idea.
170, something like that. So it's not a terrible wage. I think you'd probably be looking around 40 mil, and I think that would be a fair price based on his form and what he's done over the past couple of years. But at the same time, you know he's capable. You know he is. I mean, he wants, what's his name? Didier Deschamps said he wants to have him in the French squad more, but he's got to play. He's got to play more minutes. So yeah, I mean that's my stance on Nkunku. I do feel for him in the sense he's been mismanaged, but I also agree the effort's not been there. He's never really been a runner, if we're being totally honest. But he always had other aspects to his game. But maybe he's just
never once looked like he's actually sort of wants to be on the pitch.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. He's a unique. He's a very different type of player. But we know he's a good player. That's why we bought him.
No, he's a good footballer, but it just unfortunately he's just been victim of circumstance where he's been injured, which didn't help at the start. Cole Palmer come in and did way better than anyone expected. That wasn't, we couldn't have really foreseen him doing that well, which obviously was another issue. And then, and then he just doesn't suit this system under Maresca. Now, admittedly, we've not seen him play as a number 10 very much, and maybe we could have seen that a bit more. But ultimately, he's not really going to ever play ahead of Palmer, and then he's not a number 9. We've seen him play number 9 loads of times this season, useless, and out wide doesn't really give you much else either. So yeah, it is best for all parties that he moves on in the summer and we just forget about it.
But to be fair, why the theory that Maresca is also to blame is quite strong is because why did at the start of the season with the same a couple injuries, but just a couple, why did we go from playing exciting football and players were still just very much keen to just turn up and show what they can do, play as a team, pick up off a really poor season again and just be free, play their football, get on there. And it is almost like the moment we started to adapt to Maresca ball and Maresca style, that's when players started to overthink it massively. And we've gone to play this very dull, dire football. And also in the Conference League, guys, that's concerning. We played arguably the two most boring or horrible games to watch against Copenhagen, home and away. And that's the Conference League, arguably a league where you can afford to take risks, you can afford to be yourself, you can afford to have some freedom and enjoy your football so the fans can. Yet we went through those two games wanting to rip our hair out in moments because it just was so dull. So now we've almost gone into a period where players are just overthinking it massively and they are trying to, yes, play how Maresca wants them to play and also go out there and get results, and the two are kind of contradicting because, of course, we're not going to say Maresca doesn't want to get results, but he is also wanting to play a certain way, which maybe it cut it in the Championship, but this is the Premier League. We've got to play differently here, and you have to almost step up your own system, bring in new ideas to your I guess ideology and philosophy so that it works in the Prem. And actually what's happened is you've realised it's not the case. So that's why we have become so dull, so boring, so predictable. And it's like, well, what changes? Because Maresca's not going to change his ways. So actually we could be in for big trouble if we continue this way. And I don't see how it changes, why it changes if Maresca has made it pretty clear that this is the way forward.
You know, I didn't know you at this time, Charlie, but what did you think about Sarri when he was our manager?
We done pretty well, to be honest. We ended up.
Did you like him?
I didn't dislike him as much as others did. You know, yeah, there were similarities, obviously, with the football heavy possession-based style. Well, we won a European trophy and we finished third. You know, I think that looking back, the fan base probably treated him very harshly he should have been here for longer because he actually did a good job. But again, it goes back to the thing: Chelsea fans, on the whole, have zero patience for a possession-based style of football. None. And it was exactly the same under Sarri, right? And looking back on that, they were totally wrong about it.
I loved Sarri, mate.
He was good. He was good.
Did.
I mean, obviously...
That's why I feel like it kind of justifies to me why I'm okay with not liking Maresca. Because I'm thinking, I'm generally quite patient with managers. I gave Poch a lot of time. I waited until right at the end with Potter. I pretty much liked all the managers we've had, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't really dislike anyone that much. But I don't know what it is about Maresca. If this was a different time and Maresca come in when Sarri come in, for example, maybe I'd have more confidence because I'd think, well, you've got Kante and Jorginho and Kovacic in the midfield, and
that's a
recruitment
thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, Hazard can bail you out, and you've got other players there that you've got a great defence. Rudiger, Luiz, Dave Aspie's still there.
You're going to feel more confident with better players on the pitch. Of course you are. You know that's only natural. But like, I would like to see what we're going to be like when we have got a striker, when we have got a top quality centre back, when we have got like a fully fit squad available with the additions that we need. Then I think we can probably have a better idea of how good we might be, because we've seen how good we can play, right? We saw it at the start of the season. You know, we can play good football and we can play well with this squad. We obviously can't do it on a consistent basis at this point in time, but there was room to be excited about what we were doing earlier in the season. Now it is a concern how that's just completely fallen away. How the same group of players were playing really well earlier in the season, and then suddenly the same group of players now just can't buy a win from anywhere. That is a big concern. But then I do also think that having your first choice 11 available would make a difference. But I also feel that like we're pinning a lot of our hopes on Jackson and Madueke returning, right? And that will make a difference. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it's going to make the big difference that everyone's expecting it to make. Because realistically, to get Champions League football, we need 5 or 6 wins from our last 9 games. And I look at those last 9 games. Spurs at home, Brentford away, Ipswich home, Everton home, Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool and Forest. And there might be one else in there that I've missed out. But where are 5 or 6 wins coming from in our current form from those 9 games?
Nowhere.
They're not. It's not coming from anywhere. And now, does the return of Jackson and Madueke make us win 5 of those 6 games?
No.
Not impossible, but I would say unlikely. So we're putting a lot of our hopes on those 2 returning, when the reality is, even when we did have them, the form was still dropping off anyway. So I am very concerned about where the points are coming from in these last few games, because we've got to win big games away from home, which we've proven we cannot do for a significant period of time. And I don't see suddenly how 2 players returning, albeit important players, is going to put us on a run of getting that many points. I just can't see it.
No. Injuries is a cheap excuse this year, guys. Seriously, we've been blessed with players available. Seriously. Let's go back to under Poch and we had a whole starting 11 out and different times. But seriously, injuries is not it. We cannot use that excuse, not this year. We have enough quality, enough depth. That's partly why we literally came into the season as probably one of the most kind of stacked up teams in every department. Wingers for days, yes, midfielders when all available, defenders maybe not so much, but still enough there on the pitch, enough quality. Our benches were looking pretty good at the start of the season. Yes, that's slowly thinned with obviously January outgoings, but again, that's not been an excuse. Even with players available, even towards the end where Jackson and Madueke were available, they dropped off in numbers. The performances had started to have knockoffs as well, but you know, that's the thing. It's like injuries isn't an excuse this year. We should have had enough quality in these games, and sadly now we're going to look back, and hindsight is a wonderful thing, but those games in December that we went through that run of form, that's poor, because we could have been in a much better place right now where we could potentially actually afford to drop some points in these upcoming games. And yeah, I worry though, where do 5-6 wins come from? They don't. They really don't. You could grind out a draw.
You'd think maybe, I mean, we do always beat Tottenham at home. If we were to not beat Tottenham at home, I think for a lot of fans, that would be like
the end of the world.
Well, no, but do you know what I mean? That a lot of fans that would be it for them with Maresca if he couldn't beat Tottenham at home. But
that's personal.
But yeah, but you look at
it's mad, isn't it? How we're expecting to beat Tottenham, but then we're like, oh, can we beat
Brentford? But you look at Tottenham at home, like you look at the home games that are left, right? Spurs, Ipswich, Everton, Liverpool, Man United. So those 5 home games, you would expect 3 wins. I'd expect us to beat Spurs, Everton, and Ipswich at home. Right, so there's 3 wins there. So then you're looking at your 4 away games: Brentford, Newcastle, Fulham, and Nottingham Forest. So you're looking at 4 games away from home, right?
Is that all we have?
Yeah, we've got 5 at home, 4 away.
Jesus.
So you're looking at those, and I'm thinking we're not going to win at Newcastle. I don't know what's going to. I would be surprised if we beat Forest on the final day. So then you're looking at, can you win at Fulham away and Brentford away? I don't have confidence we can win any of those away games.
I think from the last 4 games, and this is allowing us, this is providing we beat Fulham, Tottenham, Ipswich, Everton, and we allow ourselves a draw against Brentford. We'd need about 6 points from
4 games
from the last 4. So we need a win and 2 draws, which I think we could do.
But in the last 4, which are Newcastle, Liverpool, Man United and Forest, where are the 2 wins coming from?
I think that if we're looking for wins, then I would be looking at Liverpool and United, because Liverpool would have hopefully won the league already. So hopefully taking their foot off the gas a little bit. I think that's probably the best time to play them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
It's time to get a draw, certainly.
And then United, honestly, I think it depends on them more than it does on us.
The thing is, our record against them is so poor in the Premier League.
Well, it's got a draw written all over it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, something about this season, they're going to sit back. They're not going to play particularly expansive football, but they're going to give us opportunities.
But it's difficult, isn't it, though? Like just from those 9 games there, we're struggling to pick out the 5 or 6 wins that we need to guarantee Champions League football.
I mean, in all of those games, you just see the same pattern. I mean, Newcastle's like clear as day. I could see exactly the same thing.
We're not winning at Newcastle away, no chance.
I could see exactly the same thing happening as what happened in the Carabao Cup. I could see the same thing. We try and pass backwards, they press, we give the ball away, they end up scoring, and we probably concede a few. And because of our unwillingness to change, everyone's going to know how to set up against us. And it's not going to be just about, the fact that they're trying to counteract what we're doing. It's like, are we going to adapt? And the answer has been no every game so far this season in terms of that style of play. So that's not going to change. So then you're leaning on the players more so than the manager, in the sense that that the manager's not going to help you. Like, he's not going to tell you to go long. He's not going to get the fullbacks to overlap. So listen, if you're up there, you got to make something happen yourself in this system, even if it's not the best system for what we need.
It's going to be a problem, but all we can do is just hope that the players coming back makes a bigger change. Look, Lavia coming back in, Jackson Madueke, it definitely makes a change. But the issue is going to be, is it going to be enough of a change? But maybe with how other teams are doing, maybe 3 or 4 wins might be enough.
That is good.
And I think we can definitely get 3 wins. I think we can beat the likes of Everton, Ipswich, and Spurs at home.
Definitely.
I think we can. But again, those games will also be difficult. But I think we're capable of winning those games. And then you've got to find, a couple of wins on the road, which our way form is terrible at the moment. So that's definitely not a given. And our form in big games is not particularly good either. So
do you know the record in big games? I was just looking it up as well.
Well, it's crap, isn't it?
It's it's not terrible, but it's if you were to go probably back another 5 years and see what was a record at that time, probably be totally different. Our record against the big 6 teams in the last 8 seasons is 20 wins, 24 draws, and 33 losses.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
That's mad. And also yesterday, the stat about Arsenal being unbeaten 8 games against us in the league.
Yeah, Arsenal, we haven't beaten Arsenal since 2021.
That's mad.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, Lukaku and Reece James. The season after we won the Champions League, and that was right at the start of that season as well.
I had COVID during that game.
That was right at the start of that
game.
Right at the start of that season. But yeah, I'm just glad we're not playing for over 2 weeks now. It's just, like saying to you, like I haven't enjoyed going to a game since Tottenham away. I know we've picked up some wins since then, and that's great, and that's what it's about. But I haven't actually left a game and thought I've really enjoyed that since Spurs away, and that's coming on 4 months ago.
I'm trying to think if there's. I enjoyed Copenhagen, but not for the football, for the atmosphere. I'm talking about the away game.
But you know what I mean. I've not enjoyed a game. I haven't left the stadium having enjoyed a match since Tottenham away.
Yeah, we're not really seeing that free flowing football. This is the thing though. Like, again, we'll probably see this next season because Maresca's not going anywhere. But I'd love to see if there's this pattern, because we've not really got much to judge, of having these quick starts and then it's slowing down. Why does that happen? Why is it that we play a certain way and then it's just a total U-turn and we end up doing, well, there's similar principles, but we just get rid of any sort of flair within the team. We don't have enough to judge it from, but...
And it's sad because we bought so many exciting players on talent. Like, on paper, we bought so many exciting players, talented players, recruited talent. And that's the one thing that we always prided ourselves on. Yet, where is that talent and excitement on the pitch? Like, again, I can't help but just compare it to England in many ways. At the Euros, I said, on paper, one of the most exciting squads, the players all collected into this team where you get to watch some of the most talented players in the Prem play in one team. Yet, they go out there and you're like... Wow. Okay, is this it?
It's because it's not a team.
That's the thing, though.
It's just a collection of individuals. It's a collection of individuals.
In many ways, that's us as well. At the start of the season,
no, it is. Yeah, no, it is. That's what we are. No, we are a collection of individuals, and you can tell by the way that we're playing. And you can tell with. I mean, obviously, they're still getting used to playing with one another and what, and the on-pitch chemistry is obviously not great right now. But that's not a squad that's been put together, with a plan in mind to make a decent team. That's just a squad. That's just a squad that's been put together. Oh, let's just get a load of talented individuals and hope that it works.
Which actually feeds the theory that individually, if they play, improve, their market value goes up, they get sold on. So that only strengthens
the best teams, is not about having the best players.
Certainly,
PSG is a great example.
But people look at people reference the PSG example, right? Look how shit they were last season. It took Enrique 2 seasons to build that team and get them to what they are right now. Last season, PSG were dreadful. They were really poor. And so the PSG example is a good example of actually having to be patient and actually trusting in the manager. I know obviously there's more to trust with Enrique because he's got more of a CV and he's a top level manager. But it's about, it doesn't matter who you are. You still need time to make a team. And if you compare PSG to last season to this season, it's night and day, but that's just not happened. That's taken 2 seasons to get there. And so there does need to be a little bit of patience, but what's helped them is 1, a top coach, and 2, they've actually recruited really well and they've got a blend of youth and experience.
Dominant,
You've got Donnarumma, I'm a bit unsure about him, but you've got a decent goalkeeper.
Still a spine though, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got a decent goalkeeper, and then you've got Marquinhos at the back experience. You've then got Hakimi experience. Pacho's young, but he's decent. So's Nuno Mendes. And you go into midfield, and you've got, obviously, the experience of Fabian Ruiz. You've got Vitinha at 25, who's top class. You've got João Neves, 20, who's a top prospect. And then you go into the forward areas. And yes, you've got Ousmane Dembele, who's experienced, but top quality footballer. You've got players like Gonzalo Ramos. But then you've got real exciting young talents like Barcola. You've got Kvaratskhelia there as well. You've got Desiree Doué.
You've got a nice blend.
You've got a great blend of top experienced players and some of the best young talents around.
And those talents are actually settling in well because, again, they're coming into that environment. Like, you look at Kvaratskhelia, great talent, but he comes in and he slots in well. It's a great environment to be in.
And so, like, there are similarities. But again, this comes down to two things. If the recruitment's not right in the summer, we can expect similar things next season. This summer is the most important transfer window under this ownership.
We've got no funds, mate.
And we do have money.
We just spent 70 million on two teenagers.
We have got money. Because we've got 7 or 8 players we can sell. Because the Sassy will be gone. Felix, Dewsbury Hall.
But it's not
So
our
they're
own money.
generate
So
so
we
much.
have to generate play. But which is
We're going to generate money. We're going to generate money through player sales, which we'll then use to sign a striker or whatever we're going to do. But look, we'll sign players this summer. But whether it's the right thing and whether it's the caliber of player that's going to take us forward and help us progress as a team over the next few years, that's the big question. But this is the single most important transfer window, because whatever we do in this window in the summer, that's going to dictate the direction that this club's going in over the next few years. If we get it right, then we can perhaps get ourselves to a position where we're challenging and winning trophies. If we don't get it right, then we're settling as a club that's going to be a top 4, top 5 team. That's the reality.
I think that's where we are. Well, not even there. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we can. Let's talk about those new signings that we made. We had, was it Quenda?
Yeah, Giovanni Quenda and Dario Asugu.
Now, I haven't actually seen too much about Asugu. I spoke with you and Lewis about him. You guys are under the assumption that he's just going to be squad depth for next season.
Yeah, he's going to be squad depth, yeah.
Which kind of made me think, why did we sign Ugachukwu? Because I think Ugachukwu is good enough to come in, and he offers, a good defensive.
Well, the plan right now is for Asugu to be part of the first team. Plans can obviously change, so they might see him in pre-season and think, actually, maybe he needs to go out on loan or whatever, and maybe Ugachukwu will stay with the first team squad next season. Plans can change, but
I mean, if what we were talking about before is true, and they sell Ugachukwu on for a profit, and then they bring in what's his name? Asugu, then that just tells me that it's like real estate. These players, and they're just going to flip them on and flip them on and flip them on. And we're talking about these players and thinking, God, what can he bring to Chelsea? And the reality is, they were never going to bring anything to Chelsea because there was never even.
I think you've got to look at. I think you've got to accept that there are going to be certain players that are signed purely with profit in mind. But then you've got to look at your players like your Estevals, your Quendas, and your Paezes as the ones that are actually going to contribute and they are seen as the top talent. So I get annoyed when we're signing players and full well they're not going to play for the football club. But I almost look at that as just a separate business, and then I'm more focused on like the ones that are coming in that are actually going to make a difference, because all clubs will do a similar thing where they will sign players with selling them for a profit in mind. But so for me, I'm looking at Esteval coming in, exciting, one of the best talents in the world in his age group. So basically, we've got 3 of the best players in world football under 18 that aren't Lamine Yamal. Now, whether that means that they're going to develop and be as good as we think they are, that's down to us to provide the environment, and it's questionable whether we can provide the right environment and allow these players to develop and reach their potential. That's a valid conversation to have, whether we can do that. But I think those are exciting signings in their own right. But again, they're going to struggle unless you put the relevant experience around them. That's the big question.
What's your thoughts on it? I saw you shaking your head when Charlie was speaking about the environment.
Yeah, well, I mean, what environment are they coming into? They're coming into an environment where they've got the new kids on the block who've been here for maybe a year extra, and they're like, hey, like, we're going to teach you how to play at Chelsea. So that's why I laugh about the environment thing. And with regards to the other players you mentioned earlier, in the nicest way possible, with all their respect, I don't care. It literally just does nothing for me right now to see a youngster come in at Chelsea. I'm not interested unless we go out there in summer and buy some experience and actually for once address the big elephant in the room that is missing leadership and experience. I honestly couldn't care less which youngster is coming in.
I have to admit, when I looked at Quenda's stats, he's quite impressive.
Did you watch any YouTube compilations?
No,
he's
no, not really.
he's first team ready. He is first
then
team
you
ready.
don't know how good he is.
I saw his stats in the youth team, and he had a good ratio of GA. He's playing a lot of games as well. But this season, at 17 years old,
Played 44 games for Sporting Lisbon in the first team this season, and he's played 10 times in the Champions League. This is a guy who's first team ready. He's first team ready at 17.
How old is he?
17.
I mean, that for me is fair. And then looking at the teams we're competing with, United and Bayern Munich as well, that tells me that we were proactive. So I look at that signing a bit like Esteval almost, because we were competing with other teams for that player. And you go, you know what? Well done, guys. Well done. Fair enough. But then it's the question of, are we signing these players to play for Chelsea? We're hoping that the first example of that with Santos will come in, slot into the midfield, and massively improve us next season. And I think that will happen, and I really hope it does.
I'm hoping it does as well, yeah.
But, you know, it's like you said, Charlie, until he puts the shirt on, nobody knows
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
that's the thing. That's the one worry in it. Until you actually see him in the shirt and the window's closed, then you can relax. Like, you know, all the things are saying that Santos will come and be part of the squad, and I do believe it. I do believe that to an extent, but you know, just that you know that someone will probably try and maybe bid. Someone will bid for him this summer or put an offer in.
How much should we pay? 35?
13 million we signed him for.
Oh, fuck.
13 million from Vasco da Gama in January 23.
Jesus.
So we only paid 13 million quid for it.
Great business.
So, but yeah, look.
But let's hope it's not business.
No, exactly.
Football signing.
Yeah.
It's
So
all business,
yeah, I
mate.
hope that he stays and he contributes and whatnot. But as you say, there's always a slight worry that if a big offer comes in, they could be tempted.
Oh God, if we get an offer of 50.
Well, exactly. This is what I mean. Like, but the thing is though, someone probably would bid 50 million quid for him.
Then do we have the bottle to reject that bid?
Well, exactly, and that's the big thing. But you know,
then I ask Chelsea fans this question: would you rather we accept that bid, more match-going fans actually, but then hold season ticket prices, or are you happy to pay a higher price to go and watch these games because prices are going up?
Well, I'd rather pay more to see a winning if we're winning.
You'd rather pay more.
Like if the product's good and you're winning, you don't mind paying more. If you're seeing talented players and top players at your team, you don't mind paying more. But as if you're seeing crap football, you're not winning, all your best players are being sold, then you do mind paying more for a worse product. That's what it comes down for at the end of the day. People, and it's just like with anything, people will pay more if the product's decent. It's really as simple as that. But if you look at the squad this summer, right, the window's not even open, and the squad is going to be better without making any signings because Esteval's coming in, Paez is coming in, Santos is coming back. So straight away there, you've got 3 players coming in already, but we've not spent a penny on that. Improved the squad. Now Paez will more than likely go on loan.
I think that's already been agreed.
But you got 2 players in Santos and Esteval that are coming in that already improved the squad. Petrovic hopefully coming back and to stay and be number 1. That improves the squad. So that's 3 players there coming back that improves the squad. If a Sugu comes in, okay, if the plan is correct and he's going to be part of the first team, that improves the squad. So before the window's even opened, we've got 4 players coming back that improve the squad. So that improves the squad, right? 4 players coming in already. Now, on top of that, if we make the right signings, and that's a big if and a massive question mark because we've not proven so far that we are going to do that, then you're suddenly looking like you're in a good position. But I appreciate there's a lot of ifs and buts there. But the framework is there for us. Players are coming into the squad this summer before the window's even open that are going to improve the squad. Now it's up to us to actually go and show that we're a serious team.
100%. I mean, It's not just Santos. Actually, I'd probably be more worried about Petrovic leaving than Santos, because I think that goalkeeper position is like a curse. That is the one position that got me thinking about Maresca leaving in the first place. I was like, why do you keep picking Sanchez?
Well, I think it's probably above him, to be honest.
I mean, if it is, then we're just finished as a club. If politics is going to dictate who starts and who doesn't start, then what's the point of taking the job? It's just basically a highly paid consultant role. Like, you're there to say, I think we should do this.
We probably all take it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. But, just from the perspective, and I agree with what you're saying about paying more to watch a better product. But then also there's the other side, which older Chelsea fans will look at and go, well, Abramovich froze our season tickets for 15 years. But unfortunately, the direction that football's moving in,
landscape's changing with football,
totally
and like
different now.
And people will say, they'll might use that as a stick to beat the ownership with. Anyone could be owning us, and
Abramovich would have raised season tickets.
Yeah, Abramovich would have raised prices as well. Those prices, all right, he froze them for multiple years, which is a great thing to do. But they would have gone up under him as well. They would have got whoever's owning the football club. There's a direction that football's going in. The ticket prices would have gone up regardless of who owns the football club.
Yeah, I mean, what's your take on it, Nina?
Sorry, guys, I just kind of tapped out.
That's it.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to be bitter, but it's just like the issue I have with talking again about the transfer windows and looking for the future and more incomings is that we've had so many incomings that it's just kind of made me feel numb to it in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, I have the same priorities as you and like all the Chelsea fans watching in terms of what we actually need and has been neglected for the past years. But at the same time, we've brought so much in that it's like, I find it hard to believe that at least some of it hasn't clicked in, and it still just feels like there's too many what ifs, too many maybes, too many hot and cold players. And it's just a bit sad, really, isn't it? Because you keep looking at this future, but we're already into like this project that, is now such a loose and non-existent term, but it just kind of feels numb to keep looking at youngsters coming in, to keep looking at talented players coming in, because I just struggle to think, we should still have at least formed a bit of a core now with the players that we've signed, and it just still doesn't feel that way, if that makes sense. Like, apart from a certain couple players, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5
I think you've probably got Enzo, Caicedo, Cucurella and Palmer,
who are like,
and maybe Jackson. You've got 4 or 5 that you could say are a core. Maybe you chuck Reece James in there, 6, Fofana 7. There's a bit of a core. There's no spine, but there's a bit of a core. There's a bit of. I think you could say that's the core. That's maybe the core of the squad, and maybe the core of the team. But yeah, there's a lot of improvement needed.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, like it should still be better, because even those players, to say that they perform together collectively week in, week out, it's still not the case. You rarely get a full kind of at least 9-10 players putting in a solid shift at the same time. It still is taking its time, and I know it's down to a lot of factors. It's not as simple as just, it's simply being that easy, but still I just would have liked us to have built a little bit more consistency in this time frame.
Consistency, that's the big word, isn't it? We've lacked that for a couple of years now.
We've made loads of years. Even under Tuchel, we lacked consistency. Like, we've lacked consistency for a number, particularly in the league. We've lacked consistency really since we last won the league under Conte in 17. We've lacked consistency in the league since then, because we've been nowhere near challenging for a league title since Antonio Conte. So we've lacked consistency in the league for a number of years.
I mean, at least we were a cup team, which
exactly.
Season...
But that's the thing though. Like, winning the trophies papered over our inconsistency in the league. Now there's nothing to paper over the inconsistencies in the league, and that's the big thing now. Well,
hopefully we can build something. Not that I believe Maresca is the man to do it, but I hope I can be proven wrong. I really do. And when I say he's a clown, let's be honest, he's done a lot of things that you could justify what I'm saying, but there's always a chance for redemption. He's not crossed that line yet. I mean, when he does cross that line, fair enough. But there is a chance for redemption. So even with what I'm saying, I think that we can get somewhere. I'm just not really seeing it at the moment. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to Charlie and Nina's channel as well. They'll be in the description. And let us know which games you think we can actually get some results in. Are we going to get them in the big games, or are we going to really struggle to see out Champions League football come the end. All the best, guys. Catch up soon.